10 years ago when I started this, someone said it gets easier. Where'd I see him again? This might be a bit raw, but I can only tell you how it was, how my life was. You know, so I'm not saying this to big myself up or make myself look good. It's solely to show you where I was and what God's done in my life. Basically, I grew up in the northeast of England in County Durham, and it was a rough estate at the time. Well, it still is, not at the time, but it was rough. And it was, I just remember being at school and being little and having carrot ginger hair. I've still got ginger hair, obviously, but and I got absolutely bullied. I was the only person who had ginger hair in the class, in the school, and I just got picked on for it all the time, which does a lot for your self-esteem, I guess. And this would keep going on, and I'd get bullied. But then I got in with the wrong crowd and sort of fitted in. They didn't pick on me. They did in a way, but not like I was getting. And I fitted in with these and started becoming a thief. And I started burgling houses, pinching cars, robbing anything I could. The law called it opportunist thieves, where you literally just go out and it doesn't matter whatever you're not out to thieve a certain thing, just whatever comes across your path, you'll get. So if we walked past the house and the door was open, we'd creep in, pinch a handbag. If there was a shop, we'd go in. If there was a mountain bike at the side of your house, we'd just jump on it and take it, just for the sake of it sometimes. And I remember even as a kid when I was like 11-year-old, having £5 cash around my pockets and my socks around my waist. Now imagine that, buying sweets, £5 worth of sweets. You know what I mean? And we used to think we were tough. So we used to have all this money, and then all the older lads would come over, become our best friends until it had all gone. You know what I mean? So, I'll give you some of that, you're my mate. We're like, yeah, do you want some? And we give them all of it. And this would be my life for a long, long, long time. But I had an uncle who had a reputation for himself. And I wouldn't say he was the hardest person around, but he was game and he was always fighting. And I loved him. No, really, he became my father figure. I walked down the street and I'd stick my chest out and I'd be like, yeah, I'm my uncle, that was what I was like. And I remember I kept getting bullied, but in certain ways, but not as much, but I would be soft, I wouldn't dare fight people back, and they'd take liberties out of me, and just sort of I remember one day, when all this was happening, saying to myself, one day, no one's going to pick on me again, nobody. Not only are they going to not pick on me, but I'm going to be mad at. I want people to walk across that road when they see me. Did I think that was going to come true at the time? No. I just remember thinking this in my head, had enough of everything. And I would just carry on stealing, carry on doing what I was doing. And my uncle kept fighting people, and everyone would come and say, oh, your uncle had a fight with such and such. And I'm like, yeah, did he win? We're like, yeah, we're like, yes. And I wanted to be him. And I didn't count on becoming mentally ill, becoming a bit mentally unstable, and to the point where I become an absolute nutter. But I remember having my first fight, and after I had the fight, because the lad was a bit handy, people were coming up to me and giving me a bit of attention. I never got that before. I remember thinking, yeah, I like it, I want this is what I want. And from that moment on, I would never, ever, ever back down for a fight. And it came to a point where even if I didn't want to fight, I would have to, because I felt like you were an idiot and you'd lose your reputation, and my life all became about getting a rep and being feared at this time. And so I would fight anybody. And I remember this basically led to me then eventually going into Hartlepool, which is a different estate. See, this is what was a bit different from me. People get a name in the area. I was going all over the northeast of England, all over the place. And I went into Hartlepool and bumped into a lad who was meant to be crazy and a bit nuts. People feared him. And in the middle of the town centre, he pulled out a hammer. We come across each other, and we actually brought the town to a standstill, because it all happened in the middle of the road, so the buses had stopped. It was just a standstill, the town. And I remember him pulling out a hammer, and he come running at me, and when he come running at me, I pulled out a 9-inch kitchen blade knife, and he smacked me across the head with a hammer. I saw sparks. As he done that, I stabbed him in the top of his head here, and I come out here. I was on the run for attempted murder. While I was on the run, I couldn't get money. So I did what I knew best. Criminals call it taxing. And just for some people actually don't know, it's when people go around who can fight, and they'll go and rob a drug dealer, take his money or his drugs off him. And I went and I took a large sum of money off somebody, which kept me going while I was on the run, because obviously I couldn't work, I couldn't go and sign on or anything, I couldn't do anything because the police didn't know where I was. So the only way I could get money was in a criminal way. While I was on the run for this, I went to Peterlee, County Durham, my old area, and some people, I was selling ecstasy tablets at the time, and I walked into a local pub to give some ecstasy to a family I know, the big family. And as this happened, a local handy lad at the time pulled me aside, and someone had told him some stuff what got him involved in my issues. And I went to, he sat me down and he went to explain, he said some things and I went to explain myself, and I thought, you know what, I'm explaining to him. But I remember as I'm thinking this, I looked to the side and everyone in the pub were looking at me like this now. And I didn't want to do it, I didn't want to do it. Well, all I remember thinking, because my life evolved around the reputation, all I remember thinking was, everyone's looking at this now. He's pulled me up. If I walk away from this and don't do anything, everyone will go around the area saying Shane's being pulled up and he didn't even do anything. And it makes it look like I'm soft. So there and then, I made a decision in my head that I had to make an example of him so that nobody else pulled me up. So people knew the consequences of pulling me up. And as I was making that decision, well, I can't even pronounce it, as I was making that choice in my head, he said something what was wrong at the time for me, because I wanted to be the big boy. And he went, you want to mess about with the big boys, do you? And I just jumped forward, and I went, no. I said, you've just messed about with the big boys. I said, get outside, because you're going to get it, I'm going to kill you. And he didn't believe me. He got up, and I went outside. And when I went outside, there's a criminal family who, I still know these people actually, but at the time I was involved with them. And they were a criminal family well known in the area. And they sort of pulled, they were stopping them. So this is a big family. These even knew what I was like. You know, they were saying, look, don't go out. And I remember walking to the top of the stairs, opened the door, and they were saying, and I heard the dad say, leave it, move, leave him, you've warned them, let him go. And the lad stepped to the side, and he was coming to the top of the stairs, and as he come to the top of the stairs, I waited with my back to the door, and then when he come out, I turned around, pulled the knife out, stabbed him straight through his body. When I pulled the knife out, he slumped to the floor. Two of his friends jumped off the steps, they pulled out knives, and it was like a standoff. So every time I was trying to stab him, he was trying to stab me, so I was turning, so I was like in the middle, and then someone shouted, police, so everybody ran. I'm now on the run for 2 attempted murders, a kidnapping. So in the end, to cut it all short, I don't want to be proud talking about this, I ended up getting charged with 2 attempted murders at the beginning, but charges get knocked down in the end. Kidnappings, carrying offensive weapons, the list just goes on. And I ended up going to jail, and I was in and out of jail all my life anyway, but I ended up going to prison. And when I went there, I made a decision in my head that I wasn't going to be a mug in prison. And I don't just mean among the inmates, among prisoners, because they get that mentality anyway. I mean even the prison officers, you know, no one's going to mug me off, make an idiot of me. And I remember going to prison, and I went to Northallerton prison, and I did what we call boxed it off. Became the top dog, the main man. Running people's cells, beating them up. I remember having a fight with a prison officer, over a banana. So I'm not going to fight you if I don't get a banana. So I remember you get like cake or custard or fruit, and I got the cake and custard, and I grabbed the banana, and the officer said, put that back, you're going to get one or the other. I went, come and get it then. He was like, put it back, so I put it down my pants. And he came, I don't know what he was going to do when he came round, and he said, I put it down my pants, and he come round, you know. And I just started fighting with him. No, that was a mentality I had. But yeah, I just boxed the jail off, and I went ruthless. I was running people's cells and beating them up. But then I went to a man's jail, and when I went in there, I loved my gym at the time. and I was about 19 stone, you know, massive, trained. I used to, like, my mindset was that I was in a war. It's crazy, it's mentally ill. Obviously, I thought I'm a one-man army, I want to fight the system. And so I used to train with steroids and whatever else I could get anybody. And I just sort of, a prison officer, he was a big prison officer. Because everyone knew I was nuts when I first went into the jail, everyone would keep coming and say, he's horrible, and you know, he's a bully. And I just took no notice of it. But then I had the experience myself. And I just remember, I loved my gym, and they knew I loved my gym. And in the prison, what happens is when they come to the end of the wing and shout gym. And when they shout gym, you press your cell buzzer. And they weren't coming to my cell. They were letting everybody else out, but not coming to my cell. And I thought, hey, I'm not having this. No, this is not happening. So I kept pressing it. One day he come to me and I said, look, let me out for the gym. Like, Jim, he went, I will. I'll make sure that next time I'll let you out for the gym. So Jim comes again, I pressed my buzzer and he didn't let me out. So I waited until he come on the wing and I pressed the buzzer, waited for him, and I pressed the buzzer and he come to my door. So why didn't you let me out for the gym? He went, oh, and started winding me up. So I'm going to kill you. And I was known, not to them, but I was known to my friends as being what you call a real deal. If I say something, I mean it, and I'm going to do it. And do you know what? In prison and in the criminal world, you get a lot of people who say things, but they all talk. And I wasn't that kind of person, and they thought I was. And so when I said that, he laughed at me and went, whatever. And my mates would say to you, right, now, if they were here, that if I said, I'm going to kill him in a couple of days, they wouldn't sit and think, oh yeah. They'd sit and think, go and tell him, get away, quick. Do you know what I mean? Because they knew I would do it. And I remember going out in association after I said it to them. They wound me up. And associations when all the inmates gather together and play pool, they all get out the cells on the wing. And so I went down and I got a big, massive coffee jar, the big glasses. And I wrapped it around in a towel when I come out to go in the showers. And when I went in the showers, I hope they were going to let me back in their house, by the way. Changed now, so don't chuck me out. Just thinking about it. I am nice now, honestly. And I just remember going out with this, and I went to 2 inmates, and at the end of the wing, it's like gates. It's hard to explain. It's like bars going all the way down. And with like little gates at either side, and the officers will sit on association right near there, so if a riot happened, they could get off and lock the gate straight away. But what I did is I got 2 lads to go over to the officer and talk to him. But I said, when it kicks off, just get in the way of the gate. There's no way off the wing then, you can only come forward. So they went up and they started talking to the officer, and then the other inmate was playing pool. And I feel sorry for him a little bit because he didn't have a I sort of intimidated him into doing this. I said, chuck some pool balls at the screw there, officer. And he said, oh, I don't want to. I said, just do it now. And so he did. He just started chucking the pool balls at the prison officers. And when the prison officer came running at him, I pulled out the coffee jar and I smashed the bottom off it. And I ran up and I stabbed the prison officer 3 times. Another prison officer come and I stabbed him. This instantly leads to you, when you're willing to attack the system and the officers, you become instantly a dangerous prisoner to the system. Now you would have thought, that would have chilled me out. That just made me worse. More fuel, more anger to the system and against the system. And I went into the top maximum security prisons. And in this country there's 4. There's Franklin, Folsom, Long Island and Whitemore. They call it the dispersal system. Maximum security prison system, ruthless. And I thought I was in prison when I was in all the locals, but realised I wasn't. It's easy really. When you go to a top security prison, it's a different ballgame altogether. And I remember going in there, and the prison officers are no nonsense kind of, but just adds to my hatred to the system really. And I ended up just going wild. I ended up on what they call CSC. It's a close supervision circuit. And what happens is, so just imagine this. So you've got a maximum security prison, what is designed for dangerous prisoners. I'm talking like IR, the terrorism, serial killer, whatever is in there, the worst of the worst, and I'm segregated off from there because I say I'm too dangerous to be in there. Then he segregated me off from the segregation, and they call it CSC. It means there's no physical contact. It means that when prison officers come and open your cell door, there has to be 6 to 7 prison officers in riot shields, riot gear, and they even come to a point where they would video it, so they could have evidence of how the incident went when my door opened. And this was my life. I remember when they fed me, they used to feed me, so they'd have to put a hatch, like a box, a metal box on the bottom of the door, unlock one side, put my food in, lock it, and then unlock the other side so I could get my food. Just no physical contact. And in my cell all day long. And I still used to try and attack the officers. Still used to try and fight them. That's how much hatred I had. And this lasted for a long, long time. And they kept shipping me out, kept moving from prison to prison. Till eventually they said to me, look, do you know what? I calmed down for a little bit in the seg. And they said, look, I'll tell you what, we're going to give you a chance. If you keep yourself sound for a couple of weeks, we're going to put you on a ferry, not on the mainland, like they wanted to chuck me over at Parkhurst in the Isle of Wight, get him off here, that's what they were thinking. And I went there, and when I went there, I got a few privileges, I guess. It's a lesser category prison. And so when I went there, the prison officer, I remember the main prison officer, coming into my cell and saying, look, you'll be good with us and we'll be good with you. I was like, all right. And then I had some trainers sent in, and you're not meant to be able to get them sent in. Now you have to get them out of their catalogue, and yes, you get Irish catalogues in jail. But what was happening is when you were getting them in prison, they were getting drugs put in the souls and all that, so they banned that happening. So you had to go through like a certain catalogue and stuff like that. And I remember getting them sent in. He come to my door one day, and he just, because I wasn't meant to have them, and he chucked them on my bed. He was like, yeah, I told you, you'll be good with us, and we'll be good with you. And I thought, yeah, I love this jail, this is class, cheers. Put the trainers on, I was buzzing. But then I went on the wing, and when I got on the wing for the first time in my life, realised I met some people who used to sell heroin in the jail, and couldn't believe how much money was to be made, honest. I'll just give you a little example, you know, this is not a drugs lesson, but I'm just saying, like a tenner bag of heroin on the outside would give you, say, 10 lines of heroin, say for example, but in prison for a tenner, you get 1. See the profit? It's unbelievable. And we were making money. We had a mobile phone. You can't do business on the prison phones because they're monitored. And as soon as you start talking on them, you're caught straight away anyway, and it's evidence against you. And so you get mobile phones snuck in or sent in or passed on. And you do your business on there. So you ring someone, say, right, send 300 quid to this house, or do this and do that. And they ring their parents and or whoever. And that would be what it was going on like. But I hate the system. And so I decided I wanted to... For the first time I thought, this is not a logical way of thinking, but it was to me at the time. I thought, if I'm stabbing the prison officers up all the time, I'm going to end up in jail for the rest of my life. But this heroin, gosh, the things these lads will do for this. And so I started paying the inmates to disrupt the prison. And so what I would do is I'd pay an inmate to press a riot bell at one side of the jail. And when all the prison officers come pelting to that side, someone at the other end of the jail would press the other riot bell. And so the officers were all over. They didn't actually would rather, I think they would rather you attack them because they didn't know what was going on. And it's, when that riot bell goes off, that's serious. That means that a prison officer could be getting stabbed or there could be a riot. So it's an important thing for them to attend. And that was happening. I was getting people to set cells on fire. I was getting people to set bins on fire in the thing. It was just disrupting it. They didn't like it. And to the point where they called me and a couple of the lads in and said, look, we know it's you. Just pack it in, cut the vines down, do what you want, basically. That's what it was like. And I hated the system. I thought, sack you, it's horrible, you know, scum, that's what I used to think. And so what happened was, while all this was going on, this mad Christian, absolute loony, where I thought he was, come over and he'd just come over to me and start saying, Jesus loves you, let go of your heart, he'll set you free. And I thought, hey, I remember the first time he come up to me and said it, and I remember just, because I used to stand on the top wing, the top of the wing on the top landing to watch everything what was going on. I used to just stand and watch. And you can imagine this, proper in pure violence, pure hatred, pure anger. And this madman comes up and goes, Jesus loves you. And I just remember turning to him like that and going, get away, man, are you for real? Nutcase, you know what I mean? Go away. And then he'd keep coming, but Jesus, let go of your heart, Jesus will set you free. And I was thinking, he's off it. And I even remember, I can even remember we sat in a cell having a meeting about drugs and talking about drugs and them coming into the prison. And he come bursting in the cell. And there was about 5 of us sat there chatting, and he come bursting in the cell going, let go of your heart, Jesus is real. And we were like, got up and chucked them out, shut the door. And I remember us saying, he's off, he's not him, do you know what I mean? He's mad. And we were laughing and thought he's off his head. And we sat there, and then I remember he said something to me. How can I explain this? It was the first time it pricked up my ears and made me listen to him. Because I didn't listen to the rest. I just heard what he was saying, but didn't listen to it. And I remember I stood there, and he said to me, and this is a biblical principle, but it's not biblical. That might sound mad, but you'll understand why in a minute. But he said, I've been in prison for years and years and years, and I'm never ever getting out again, but I'm free. I was like, I don't know why, but it made me think, it was more a confusion. How can somebody be in prison? No, as a non-Christian, think this. How can somebody be in prison for the rest of their life? They're in for murder, never going to get out again, but be free? You're locked away in prison forever, how can you be free? That's what I was thinking, but it puzzled my brain. But I carried on going on in my life of crime in the prison. But while this was going on, I would be sat pondering in my head, what on earth did he mean? I don't get it, I don't understand what he's talking about. And then there was a lad on the wing who had a pot in his hand, and he kept coming up to me saying, give us 10 bags of heroin, and I'll do a hit on an officer. And my mates were warning me about him as well, but I just had so much hatred to the system that I was thinking, just in case it's real, he might do an officer, you know. So that overrode the possibility I might be undercover, I guess, or dodgy. And so I went to his cell. I went to his cell, and I said, look, I'll give you 5 bags of heroin now. When you've done the hit on the officer, when you've done what I've asked them to do, I said, I'll get the rest passed down to you in the segregation unit, which you can get done. Because obviously inmates work there and you pass things on and stuff. He said, all right then. So he got 5 bags of heroin, and I had a free night. Because he went off the wing the next day and grassed me up, basically, and formed on me. And we knew, lads banged on my wall and said, look, he's just gone off the wing, get yourself ready. And he come and took me and 3 lads off the wing. Took us off the wing and went down into the segregation unit. While I was on there, I went on a bit of a dirty protest. I'm not explaining what that is if you don't know. But I went on one of them and kicked off, and they come to my door and they said, look, chill out, we'll give you a TV. I was like, TV? In the segregation unit? I was like, yeah, all right then. So I chilled out and ended up with a TV. And I remember hanging out the windows, winding the lads up because they never had one. Yeah, I'm watching EastEnders. I'm like, shut up, man. I was just, you know what I mean? They're sat there looking at 4 walls and I'm watching EastEnders, you know, it's class, isn't it? Good deal. And I just remember being sat in my cell, and I remember getting a vision of this Christian, this madman. And I remember getting a vision in my head, and this urge telling me to write my letter, like proper strong, write to him. And I thought, I can't write. And it was that strong. I was even talking to myself. I was even walking up and down the cell. Well, I was always talking to myself, but I was walking up and down myself, and I was saying to myself, I can't write to him. I don't even know who he is. And the urge got that bad in my head that I remember writing a letter to him. And in the letter I said what I've said to you. Look, I don't know why I got this image and urge to write to you. And about 4%, it all went. About 3 or 4 days after, I get a letter, A4, 10 pages, both sides. Right? You know what's coming, don't you? Opens it up, all the way from beginning to end. Let go your heart. Jesus loves you. He'll set you free. You've got to believe. I just thought, oh, he is nuts. But I carried on writing them because it was something to do. And that happened. No, we'd have thought this was... But I guess that was God planting little seeds ready for the right moment. And I remember they come to my door and said, look, that's it. You've had your chance. There's no more chances. You go and put back on a paddy wagon and you're going back to the top security prison system. So they put me on a ferry. And do you know what? That was like a holiday to me, because I know it sounds mad. I'd never been on a ferry before. So actually I forgot it, because I was getting excited. This is what happened, my first experience. I got on the ferry to go, when I was actually going there, I got on the ferry to go there, got on buzzing thinking, I've never been on a ferry before. Then when I got on there, I was in the back of the paddy wagon with handcuffs on, and then went into a panic thinking, don't leave us if it sinks. So I went into a proper panic. Don't leave us. I need the toilet just so I can get out of the van. Yeah, so on the way back, I ended up in a prison called Long Lartin. It was either Long Lartin or Full Sutton. I can't remember exactly which one it was. And I remember going in, and while I was in there, ruthless prison, by the way, it was a riot nearly the first day I was in. And I remember sitting in my cell, and about a couple of weeks went by, and they opened my door, and said education. And so I went down, and I went in the education department, and they said, oh, your name's not on the list. Now, you've got to understand this. In a maximum security prison, they've got what you call movements, and when the movements happen, it means everybody has to go to their destination. You've got to go to the gym, education, work, or back to your wing, whatever. If you get there, and your name's not on the list at the other side, where the officer stood there, they'll look, and if your name's not there, they'll say, your name's not on the list. You've got to go back to the wing, and you'll go back and get banged up. That didn't happen here. And they're very strict on this, and I'll tell you why. If I get into a top security prison full of dangerous people and powerful people, if I got through there and I escaped, and I shouldn't have been there, who loses a job? If I get through them and I kill somebody, who I shouldn't have been there, who loses the job? That's how important it is. And the prison officer, I must have done his head in, because I was like, you made me walk all the way down here, I've had enough of this, and made a little bit of a fuss. And one of them went, go to the chaplaincy. So I walks to the chaplaincy, goes there, gets there. Never ever, this alpha course I'm talking about now, I'd never heard of one in my life. Didn't even know it existed. But when I went in the church, I walked in on an alpha course. And there was a circle of lads, sat round, and a TV on with this posh man, hello, you know, giving it all. And obviously I know him now to be Nicky Grumble who does the alpha. At the time, I didn't know, and he was just this posh man talking, and I remember coming in and sitting down, and I just thought, watched it for a couple of seconds, I thought, oh no, to God thing. And so I was waiting for the excuse, to just get up and walk out. You feel uncomfortable, don't you? You're all sat watching a film, you're not just going to walk out. So I was waiting for the film to finish, and then the little lady at the end, when it finished, she went, are you meant to be here? I went, I don't know. She said, she asked me name, and she said, your name's not on the list. So I said, oh, well, I'll go. And just as I went to get up to go, one of the lads went, you get free chocolate candles and biscuits. I went, miss, put my name down, please. And that was the intention. Look, no, for real, that was the intention of me going, how can you get, I don't believe in God, you know what I mean? I just thought they were nuts, and it was just, I actually used to believe that it was a conspiracy by the government. I used to think, to keep everyone under wraps, keep everybody good. That's what I used to think, they'd made it all up. And I just remember I was going, and I was arguing, science proves it's all wrong and all that. And I wanted to go and get a library book and prove them all. You know, that they were wrong with my science book, you know, I'm going with it. I'm going to prove you. And I would just be like, I was good, and I was asking questions, but a bit like causing a little debate here and loving it. But one of the things I do remember is I hate it because they get taught, don't they, on the Alpha, who's leading it, like, to be respectful of everyone's opinion. And normally when you're around Christian people, it's like everyone gets heated, don't they? So it starts off as, I will believe this, and at the end, Israel, you're in the face, aren't you? You don't mean to do it, but it's just your passion. But on this course, it was weird because I'm trying to cause an argument and they were just going, oh, that's great, that's your opinion. I was like, yeah, come on, argue with me then. But they wouldn't. And do you know what though? Well, for the first time, I guess I heard the real Bible. Because when you're not in church, your view of Bible is there's good people and there's bad people. That's your view of church and God. There's good people and there's bad people. Yeah? And you must be this way and you must do this before you can get into heaven. It's not even what the Bible preaches, actually. Not the Bible preaches that everybody's bad. The Bible preaches that everybody deserves to go to hell. It's the truth. That's the whole point of why it's called the good news in the Bible. Or why we're doing that for? Why it's called good news in the Bible. That Jesus Christ came and died. The very reason why he did it was because we're all sinners and we deserve to go to hell. And because God loved us that much, it says he sent down his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. That's why we go to heaven, by accepting that Jesus died in place for our sins. But right, back to the point, because I don't normally do that. So God must have wanted me to say that to someone. But, I hope. What happened was, I'm on this course. What point did I get there? I've lost myself. I'm on the course.
Free cakes.
Yeah, free cakes. So I'm going there for the cakes and the biscuits. And the other 50 were as well, do you know? Get out your cell. You're in prison, and believe me, chocolate and strawberry gatos in prison, it's like gold dust. I'm not lying, honestly. You don't get them. You can't buy them, and you don't get them. So when someone comes, so if you want to do an outfit, you get chocolate gatos, sign up now. But I just remember being on this course, and it comes through a Holy Spirit day, and this is normally where things happen to people all over the world, is on this day. And I remember he prayed, no, it happened. I thought, and I actually remember him praying in tongues and doing all this stuff, and I thought, he's a weirdo, what's he doing? Speaking in a foreign language, you know, I didn't know what he was doing. And I just felt uncomfortable. And nothing happened, but I remember making a cuppa. And when I was making a cup of tea at the end, he came up to me and he said, look, I've never done this in all the years I've worked here, but God has just told me to tell you to come here this afternoon. So I thought, on your own. I thought, all right then. And again, the motive, get out myself, something to do. And so I went down in the afternoon, and I found the pastor, went and he got 2 chairs, went into the chaplaincy part, and we got 2 chairs, one, and he sat them in front of us, and he said some scriptures, and one of them was, no one's righteous, not one, we all fall short of the glory of God. And I think he was telling me that because I was always questioning. I've nearly killed people, that means I can go to heaven. And I couldn't grasp what he was saying, because I had this view, what I was just explaining, you know, that there's good people, bad people, and didn't realise the true Bible, really, gospel. And I just remember questioning it all the time. And then he said that verse, and then he said another verse about Jesus dying on the cross and stuff. And then he sort of explained it a bit to me, the meaning of it, what it meant, why he did it. And he said, pray. And I said, God, if you're real, come into my life. Because I hate who I am, I hate who I've become. For the first time in my life, when I prayed, I meant it. And I prayed, sorry, I always get a bit upset here because it was the moment of my life, totally changed. And I just remember sitting, and I started to feel this feeling in my stomach. And it started to raise up and raise up and raise up and raise up and raise up. It got to about my chest. And it flew up my chest. And I just burst out crying. With that. I just remember, I knew from that moment on, God was real. I knew. You can't convince me any otherwise, any other way now. I just remember sobbing and sobbing and sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And then it made it worse. The lads were coming out for breaks. All the inmates are trying to look through the window. And I'm trying to hold it in, and it was just making it come out even more. And I just remember, this is making me laugh actually. You know, the first thing I said to the prison chaplains here, after I was sobbing my heart out, I looked at him and went, don't you dare tell anyone I'm in. You know what he said to me? And do you know what? Because what was Christianity? All I knew was this experience had happened and God was real. I didn't have a clue what it was. So now I'm being a Christian a while and I know about it all and I've learned a lot more. I know how wise these words are. He said to me after I said, don't tell anyone, but I've been crying. What he said to me? If it's God, he said, I won't need you because you'll do it yourself. And I walked off not thinking anything of that. But now it gets funny. So I became that madman. Do you know, that's what I was even worse than him. I was off my head. I just remember running on the wing with a Bible in my hand. And prison officers, when you're known to attack officers, they have to become familiar. So when they're working on your wing, they'll be shown pictures of you. They'll be told, look, who's serious and who's not. You know, so if someone comes and says, I'm going to stab you, they need to know, is he real? Does he mean it? Is he going to do it? So they knew who I was. So I ran on the wing, and they're all on movements, about 5 or 6 of them. And I've jumped in front of them, and I went, it's real. And they were like, it's real. And after a couple of times, I went, saying it's real. One of them finally said to me, what's real? I went, Jesus Christ, he's real. They all split up and walked off. It's true. They all just walked off, you know. So I always say to people, if you want a prison officer to run away, just tell them Jesus. Yes, he's a Christian, by the way. And it just, my life just went from one extreme to the other. You know, and I don't say this to brag, and you can check this out if you need to, but the Home Office described me as being put on the list, of the top 6 most dangerous prisoners in the country. That's how nuts my head was. So I went from that to overnight, I got a trusted chaplaincy job. And it's a trusted job in the prison. Started working as a cleaner in the chaplaincy. Started helping on other alpha courses. Helping the other inmates on alpha courses. It was only for the cake really, but because I was getting cake as well, so I wanted to do it again. Only joking, I wasn't. And it just sort of like, my life just went from one extreme to the other. Prison officers were coming up to me and said, I don't know, I can't get it. And then I'll be there for half an hour, Jesus real, you've got to believe, you know, just preaching to anyone I could. But the first test I got was, I remember being on the wing, and the officers do cell spins or cell searches, and every day they go through, like a couple of officers will stand outside, while one goes in and just bangs the walls, bangs the bars, and you do that every single day in case someone's trying to escape. And they got to me, and all of a sudden they all just turned around and went, Jesus, I'll not say what they said, but they didn't say the right words. He's effing this, he's effing that, and blah. And I remember getting this bit of anger, and I just stopped, crossed my arms, let them say what they were going to say. And then at the end I waited and I pointed at him, and I went, can I ask you a question? I went, would you have spoke to me like that a couple of months back? And he went, oh no. I went, well, there's the change. And I walked off. And then when I went round the corner, the prison officer who was there practically jumped off the chair, ran at me, shook my hand, just saying, wow, we couldn't believe how you responded to that. And then my life just went from all of that. I got nicknamed Dot off EastEnders. because I didn't even know the Bible, but I'd quote it at the time. And I remember I was off it. I just remember someone had said something, I'd be like, under paragraph 53. Thou shalt not, and all that stuff. They didn't know what it meant. That's what I was like, so everyone was like, oh, she is, he's dots, come along again. And I just didn't care. And just to explain how nuts I was in the prison when I became a Christian, I was nuts before that, but just in a different way now. And I just remember walking around the exercise yard, and the inmates, do not, in a maximum security prison, the last thing you do is run up behind someone fast. Trust me, do not do that. But I saw this lad's leg go up. I thought, what's he doing? And I saw a little beetle on the floor. This is only, I squash him now, but I'll just explain what I'm doing. But I remember his foot went up. This is how mad I'd become when I was a Christian. And I ran up screaming, no, what are you doing? And he jumped back, thought it was going to be a fight. I picked it up, I went, that's God's creature, that man. That's what I was like. Do you know what I mean? I was worse than him. I was worse than that other lad who I thought was nuts. No, I didn't care. I wasn't bothered. And I'm still not bothered to this very day. Because I know for 100% fact that God is real. I'm telling you that now. I don't care what anyone says to me. People can mock me, laugh me, laugh at me, do whatever they want. I don't really care because I know for a fact. But you know what? I have this proper longing for people who actually don't know God. And they laugh and they say, oh, it's good for you, it's good for you. But you know what? When you know it's real, it's not. Because you know there's a heaven and there's a hell at the end. And so you have this longing of like thinking, please just, you need to listen. Because he is real. And there is a heaven and there is a hell. And I know that for a fact. So for me, it's just, I get that little bit more passionate when it's coming across. I'm doing my mates' heads in. And in fact, my mates now, my old mates, because I still see them, I still try and preach to them, they've all got a code. When you see me, none of them mentions God. Because I'm there for hours trying to tell them about Jesus and stuff. And so they're all like, hey, don't mention God. So one of my mates will mention him and walk out and come back in 2 hours time. Are you still there? My mates are like, what do you set them off for? But it's real. And if there's someone in here who doesn't know God, I'm telling you now, it is real. I know what happened to me. Why would I come here? Because you've got to remember, a reputation takes a lifetime. Do you think somebody to earn? And a lot of violence and a lot of craziness. And then you've got that point of like, people will laugh at me and think I'm some sort of mug. Why on earth would I want to, what did I do? Just get up one morning and go, oh, look at the day I'm going to believe in Jesus. And everyone's going to laugh at me and mock me. And everyone's going to think I'm an absolute idiot. I'm going to lose half my family, because they're all criminals. None of them will want nothing to do with me anymore. Half my friends don't want nothing to do with me anymore. My brothers and that don't have nothing to do with me anymore. And I'm going to do that because I just want to do it. Think about that. Something happened to me. God came into my life. I'm telling you now. And so all I would like to tell you is if you don't know God, you think all this church thing is crazy, so did I. But look where I'm at now. Now I'm married with 5 beautiful children. I've got a 7-year-old girl called Angel. I've got wait, I hope I remember this. I've got a 7-year-old girl called Angel, a 6-year-old girl called Grace, and we named her Grace. We've got a 5-year-old boy called Isaac, a 2-year-old boy called Jacob, and a 7-week-old boy called Elijah. All biblical names, by the way. You know what? If I wasn't a Christian and I had my kids now, I'd have brought them up. They'd have seen domestic violence. They'd have seen, the lads would have been twisted and filled with steroids. They would have been twisted to take over the dad. And if anyone kills your dad, you've got to revenge him. I would have twisted their mind. And it upsets me as a father to think that. That's what I would have done. But you know what they get now? Bible studies on the night, they come to church every week, they're dead loving, we try and teach them to be loving and forgiving. We do little things like near Christmas, take them down to the homeless so we can take the homeless person. Even if it's just one, we take them into McDonald's and buy them a McDonald's. They try and teach the kids to be nice and not to look down on people and think, oh, look at him. And people do, oh, look at him, he's homeless, he stinks, oh, look at him. And that's what people are like. But if I can get my kids with a Christian ethos kind of thing, then that's what I do now. So this hasn't just changed my life. Most of my family are criminals or doing other, doing stuff but not in the right way. And this has changed the cycle of the next generations of my family. And that's how powerful God is. And all I can say to anyone here is sign up for this alpha, because things have been happening. People have been coming to God and having experience with God all over the planet. It's spread in jails all over the country, but also all over the world. And not in schools, in churches, and there's been hundreds and thousands of people, honestly, giving their life to God and having experiences, and it's totally transformed their lives. And now they're off doing other things. Just a little thing of how only God can be in this. You would have thought that the prison, where I stabbed the prison officers in, would have been the last prison to have me. Just logic. Or maybe if I went in a few other prisons, just to see if it's real, to trust me. Do you know they were the first? I was only out of prison 1.5 years. Like, listen to this. A prison officer, #1 governor, gives the head prison officer, who was best friends with the prison officers, stabbed permission to come to my house and have a cup of coffee with me, so they can talk about working with me. And then they get me in there. While I'm in the prison, they get me in the office, and who do they call in the office? One of the prison officers stopped. And he comes in, and I stand up, I hold my hand out, and I just said, I'm sorry for what I've done. And he said, I forgive you. And we sat down, and we had a laugh for about an hour. It's funny though, because the laugh we had was, he said, I just looked at him and I said, I'm really sorry I wasn't in the right frame of mind. He went, tell us about it. 3 scars down the line, you know. But how mad's that? How powerful is that? That doesn't happen. You don't hear of this stuff. And it became a major thing. It became, when I become a Christian, you wouldn't believe. I'm not going to say it anyway, but magazines, paper, just really went all over the world when I become a Christian. Because you couldn't believe it, because the system they knew what I was like. And they just can't explain. So I'm thanks for listening to me. And yeah, just quickly, I go in prisons now, and I've set up, just this bit. I've set up, Holy Trinity Brompton asked me to help set up a Connect group, and it was to have it set around, trying to be an outreach, so that when the people are there and they're enjoying it, then try and invite them to church from there. So there'll be a meal, testimony, tiny bit of the gospel, and a song. And it's grown over in 2 months from 40 to 150 odd people. And then in my local area heard about it, wanted me to get involved over there. And so for the first time it's a very, the room was practically full of villains and criminals, let's say that. There was about 200 of them. And you don't get people like that in church, do you? And they loved it actually by the end of it. And I went there to give my testimony there. And they loved it. The media was involved in it, you know, Danish man comes back to apologise to the community. And great story, by the way. But it wasn't for me, that wasn't my target. Great, that's what I would do. That wasn't what I was intending, but the news, great, excellent, good ratings. But for me, it was about them coming to know Jesus. But listen to this. When I was in prison, when I told you about that inmate who chucked the pool balls for me, I met him in prison. He was from my area, but I met him in prison. And once that incident happened, we got shipped out and moved away. I've never seen him since. That was 10 years ago. He came to the Connect group the other week. Not only did he come to the Connect group, he got up to the front. And then he inboxed me saying, I loved it. I had a bit of a feeling. I loved it, I'm coming back. And then we've got another inmate giving his testimony the week after. And then I've got people who I least expected. One of my friends, who was very well-known, let's just say well-respected in the area, inboxing me all night long till 2 o'clock in the morning. So this Jesus then, right, so what about it? And I've been talking about and giving them the gospel. That's what God's been doing. My friend, just advertising a bit here, sorry now, my friend's a K1, super heavyweight MMA world champion, become world champion, very handy lad. In the northeast of England, there's not very many people can beat him. Paul Venice he's called, and he is an absolute animal. And been trying to tell him about God for years. Thought I was an absolute loony, because he said to me, like, I get passionate. So I was driving along and we'd get into debates and I'd be like, it's real, I'm telling you, you know, like that. And my mate would be like, all right, then calm down, there's something wrong with him, Joe. Well, guess what? A while back, we took him to a Connect group, not ours, a different one, Newcastle. Took him there, and after 3 years of him thinking we're nuts, he went in this day, and the lad started talking with testimony about fighting, I think it was fighting, doing mad stuff and snorting cocaine, or doing some stuff like that. And he, basically, I went out to the toilet actually while all this was happening, but when I come back, he was at the front crying his eyes out. I walked up and went, I told you, mate, don't crying his eyes out. It hasn't been easy for him, because when people have got a big reputation like him, and they're very handy, it's hard. But he got baptised the other day, and this is the kind of things God's doing. It's absolutely amazing. God has totally transformed my life. But for me now, it's not about that. It's about telling everybody else God's real, because I know He is. So thank you. sign up for the Alpha.